in recent weeks, we've been engaging deep dives into some of those prerequisites you need to maintain your marriage at a blissful stage, right? And we've been looking at a couple of topics, including how to avoid romancing your house help and how to be logical in the expectations from your spouse. Today, moving forward, we'll be looking at how self-development could help you boost your relationship and stay in a happy marriage ever after. Is that what they say, Kenneth?
Thank you very much, Divine.
It's a pleasure having you here once again.
Mine too. It's always a pleasure being inside to share the little we can for the betterment of marriage and
now, last
life.
week, something happened, right? You showed up late. And when we discussed this, you said I was playing it too on you. And I said, no, I could do that. We didn't just get the schedules right.
Yeah, there was actually a misunderstanding as to the change of the broadcasting time as against the recording time. So.
Right. Thank you sincerely for being here on time today. Now let's just get to the crux of the matter. So what should I understand? What is self-development? Because everybody with the head on the shoulder, level header, you think you're developed already. Self-development.
You know, somebody is relevant in his or her dispensation to the level where you become useful. When you are not useful to those around you, you are not becoming more and more dependable.
To an extent, you can become a nuisance.
You can become a nuisance. You can aspire like Ovaltine that has been so long on the shelf of a shop and expires. So, it's always important to see how you develop yourself through, in fact, developing your intellect, developing your skills, those skills that will make you more useful, developing the character too. Yeah, because we won't be fair if we don't say each and everyone has or had a weakness that needs to be combated so that you become at least more enjoyable for those who are around you, especially your spouse.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, is that open to everybody? I'm just looking at the world and looking at the people around us, and I say, some people think they are know-all. Some people think they're the best among people. Is this for everybody? Do we all need to take time and do the introspection and find out if we need self-development?
Everyone.
Are they ready-made?
Everyone.
Self-developed people?
Everyone. There is no ready-made person. They say the day you stop learning, you start dying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the more you learn and build yourself, the better you become, because the world is not a monument standing somewhere. It is a movement. The world keeps moving.
It's always evolutive.
There is always evolution.
Right.
And there are sectors of society that are evolving so fast that if you don't at least keep up reasonably with the trend, you will be outmoded in the shortest possible time. Let's take, for instance, technology. The changes are by the second.
Right.
So also in other spheres of life, if you don't live to at least update yourself to be current and correct, you end up seeing that maybe if your spouse, for instance, within the context of marriage, if your spouse is evolving, there will be a gap being created. Yeah, there is a gap that will keep being created, and that is a very harmful situation for the family. Imagine you have a spouse you can't talk with because you are discussing like a 2020 human being and the person is discussing 1996.
Right.
There's going to be a mismatch that will
Right. You want to talk to her via WhatsApp and she's not connected, she don't know how to use it. You need to be self-developed.
Yeah, you can't be in 2020 and you are still a typewriter human being. Tap, 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 as they used to do in those days. So
I don't want to say go to the police station. You still see the typewriting machines. They're working right in perfect shape. I'm just thinking, with the times that we currently live in, you know, the tensions are hitting the rooftops. Who is needing self-development at this point in time the most? Is it the breadwinner, and in most cases the men, or is it the women? I know anger is rising, frustrations are mounting. People need to tone down those angers and frustrations. Who needs that more?
both. Because if there is a breadwinner, there is a bread manager. So,
oh,
so somebody will win the bread and another person will have to manage it. So if both of them are not seeing how to update themselves, the bread could be won and mismanaged. So at the end of it all, nothing relevant would have been brought into the home. So everybody, in fact, every human being in all spheres of life and in their various ranks and merits needs self-development seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at the absence of self-development within a marriage.
Yeah.
How does it backfire? What are some of the consequences?
Somebody said that when you are in an institution and you are not growing at least proportionately or relatively with the institution, either the institution will end up becoming too big for you or you end up becoming too big for the institution. It's the same thing for marriage. Marriage is not supposed to just count years, but for this length of time, call it 10 years in marriage, what can we have to show for? And if you as a spouse, a man, for instance, in a marriage, after 10 years, I'm sure your wife was not getting married to you so that she will remain a babysitter for life. That a man she's gotten married to a man and is babysitting the man 10 years after you are still behaving like a child. There are men like that. There are people who maybe some women got married to them and say, okay, they hope this one is going to change over time so they can enjoy the best of husbands. But over time, the man is not growing proportionately with his years. There are people who are growing gray hair, but they're not developing any gray heart. They seem to be, to be old. They seem to be so reasonable. But you want to look at it, in fact, in quotes, they are still having diapers underneath. I think I said this here before, there is a management protagonist, Abraham Maslow. Maslow, he brought up a theory in management, which is the hierarchy of needs. When you're not growing, and if you're growing and your priorities are not changing, you're a dead man.
All right.
Yeah. I take, for instance, when you were yesterday a young boy, when they buy you a Christmas dress, you're like, let that 20 feet come so fast so I can put it. But if today a new dress is still a driver, is still a serious issue for you, then you are in deep shit. Okay. So you should move from one level of priorities to another level, to another level, to another level, where you are at the place of self-actualization. What makes you a man? What makes you you? What makes you relevant in your own dispensation? So maybe you got married to your husband. I was talking about women. Right. Maybe you got married to your husband and you had some weaknesses. For instance, somebody said this one, the mother did not train her well. There's something like that. They got married without having a certain level of good culinary skills, good cooking skills, or good home management skills. And for you, you won't evolve over time by building the skills and getting better. Each time your husband comes home, he compares what he eats at home with what he ate outside. It is day and night. Right. Yeah, the person will end up feeling so bad, feeling so frustrated in the relationship because you are not developing. Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to use an example. I'm not sure if it concerns you out there, but then if it does, just listen carefully to the response that you get. You get married to a lady, and I'm queuing in from where you left off somewhere, because you said you marry a lady and she's always there like the babysitter and so on. Now the question in there is, some people love their spouses, and I'm looking at the women, to such an extent that they would just want them to stay home. Don't go out to work, don't do anything, because they are scared that if they go out, they may be captured by other men. So they stay at home. But then on the converse, there are others who will pound their chest and say, when I got married to this lady, she didn't have any job to do. Now she is a manager somewhere. Where's progressive in those two?
I think both sides of the story are, none of them is more relevant than the other. All right. In my opinion, and I stand to justify. If you think your wife shouldn't go out because men will run after her, men can still run after her and enter the house. Or she can still run after men. You know this, the biblical story of Joseph, who ran after her houseboy. Yeah. So I think the first of things to know is, within marital spheres, people are supposed to develop and be mature. They're supposed to build integrity. They're the first of things. So there are people who, after they've built integrity, they can face the world in whatever capacity, and they will in no way become unfaithful because they face the world. But there are people who can, you know, somebody said ladies who, or these single-sex boarding schools, that one opportunity they have to go out of it, they always do a lot of havoc.
Right.
I'm not the one who said it. I said somebody said
They
so.
take it to the extreme.
Yeah, they take it to the extreme. So I think having that kind of quarantining because you are afraid, you are quarantining your wife because you are afraid she's going to be kidnapped.
Hijacking something.
Yeah. So I think it's always good that a couple comes an agreement. Agree to see how you manage yourselves. Let it not be as if one person is imposing on the other and with some selfish ambitions in the particular position you are taking.
Okay.
It's important to agree and see the position that you take for the common good of your relationship.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming.
My pleasure.